Lack of empathy is the hallmark of a labor market without trust. How empathy creates good signal in online environments, and lack of it distorts data. Hi, my name is Sarah Trumbull. I'm the founder and CEO of the Job Applicant Perspective, the first anonymous user reviews for job ads across the U.S. Think of it like Yelp in a world of professionally managed fine dining with no health department and no FDA. I make this video blog post as a level of go-to-market awareness for the paradigm shift that I'm driving at, as well as, public service for all the gaslighting out there. These come from my Substack. This is being read by economists, journalists, and more. But I put them on video because also, different strokes for different folks. People intake their information in different fashions. I am an independent scholar, a structural systems theorist, and I bridge gaps between labor market economics, sociology, and a little bit of psychology and systems theory. So as an independent scholar, I'd say that I'm also a big fan of the work of Daniela Mestak-Young. I am proud of the work that I do, and I think it's meaningful and valuable, but I encourage you to engage with it in terms of falsifiable data and evaluate it using your own discernment as well, because it's important. But yeah, I'm going to keep going because I'm really excited about what I'm doing, and I'm absolutely passionate about this. I can do this from, the given work like game theory, from traditional economics like Bonhoeffer and Akerlof, and I can do it from some of my own. So what we're talking about today is a lot more along the line of systems theory and information theory. But yeah, let's get started. The new invisible trap. The modern internet hums with noise, posts, reactions, duets, arguments. Everyone's talking, few are listening. We call this engagement, but what it really is more often than not is the industrialization of disconnection. It's a trap so seamless it feels like freedom, a system that rewards entitlement to ease and performance and punishes perception. Everything about online life looks social until you realize how easy it is to participate without perceiving anyone at all. You can react to faces you've never seen, rage at voices you've never heard, and praise people who never existed. How do we then tell the difference between a builder designing platforms and services to solve our problems and one designing them to profit from keeping those problems alive? Who this is for? It's for founders building systems that touch real people and forgetting those people are the system. For economists who understand empathy not as sentiment, but as the infrastructure of market trust. For policymakers wondering why participation rises while public trust collapses. And for anyone who's ever screamed into an online void and realized the echo was algorithmic. If you've ever asked, why does it feel like we're talking more but understanding less? This is for you. Empathy as information infrastructure. Empathy is not a soft skill. In human systems, it functions like a social nervous system. It lets individuals register impact, adjust behavior, and share real signals without penalty. This is not unlike if you broke a wrist, the pain would alert you to do something. Empathy is just signal from your social nerves. It's a transmission layer for social engagement. Online markets don't fail then because technology can't carry data. They fail when people decide it's safer to distort it. Technology as the pipes, empathy as the reason anyone puts true data into them. When empathy exists, vulnerability then becomes possible. Vulnerability in this way of looking is not sentiment, it's unfiltered input. It represents clean data. In a complex dynamic system like the global labor market, this is economic gold. Honest signals lead to trust, lead to calculable risk, lead to innovation. Remove empathy and the logic flips. Job-seeking users. I could tell you true things, but why would I tell you true things when telling you true things is an exercise in ridicule and disdain? When the bad thing has already happened, maybe, why would I want to make it worse? Poor and mocked, or just poor? It's not tough to see why this leads to bad data. Labor market steward, owner, or operator. Yes, I could listen to the things that you say, but why would I listen to the things that you say when I don't respect any of the things that you say because you're the one saying it? Even when actual data gets through, it becomes distorted or ignored. Hierarchy rewards the performance of strength, Markets require the transmission of reality. Low empathy environments do not create stronger actors or systems. They create systems that cannot perceive damage until collapse. What looks like toughness is often just information failure wearing authority's costume. Online markets versus face-to-face. How empathy collapses without witness. Face-to-face markets have a built-in stabilizer, empathy. Not because people are extra nice, but because visible consequences regulate behavior. If you harm someone in a physical community, you see the impact. A flinch, a pause, a social shift. Your nervous system updates. Online, that feedback loop breaks. No flinch, no pause, no accountability. The market loses its sensory system. Platforms claim to connect us, but in reality, they reward dysregulated communication because it converts to what they need best, engagement. I've spoken to this before. You can read it from other economics professors and stuff. But markets optimize what they measure, not what they market. For example, McDonald's markets family time, but it measures burgers. Measures burgers sold. Social platforms market connection, but they measure engagement. And that's a different thing. And that's where you're starting out with marketing of, family pictures, and you end up with True Social and all sorts of dramatic things happening. That's because they measure engagement, not connection. Outrage drives engagement faster than reflection. In a physical world, outrage risks a punch or social reckoning. Online, it risks nothing. And so it scales. Where there is no real friction for lack of empathy, distortion becomes profitable. Hiring platforms are a professional version of the same dynamic. Hiring doesn't use open aggression like political media. It uses polite silence, which is simply a quieter form of emotional dysregulation, social abandonment. Instead of, we don't want you, it creates perform positivity while in economic isolation, and don't disrupt the illusion that success equals worthiness. Nobody instructs this norm. People absorb it by watching others perform. #gratefulness, #resilience, #every lesson counts, while silently drowning in rejection. The system trains emotional suppression, reputational fear, algorithmic conformity, and the anxiety does the enforcement. What emerges at scale is amplified superiority, status displays dominate over accuracy or reciprocity. Digitized deference, users perform compliance to remain eligible, not real humanity. An erasure of witness, no shared seeing, no social closure, no mutual recognition. In a hiring dynamic online, there's only authority witness, not peer witness. And given that people are receiving hundreds or thousands of applications for one spot, it's often authority rejection. Without peer witness, empathy has nowhere to be fostered. With mindless auto-rejection, no. Or abandonment, ghosting, and no peer empathy, vulnerability disappears. Without vulnerability, honest signals vanish. A market cannot function without true signals. It becomes a simulation. Motion without resolution, engagement without exchange. Platform logic equals efficiency without emotional bandwidth. Efficiency without empathy creates profoundly distorted data. Distorted data creates false signals. False signals create false hierarchies. The result is not value, it's theater. The signal chains as I see them. Functional markets are empathy to vulnerability to honest signals, trust, risk, and innovation. Collapsing digital markets, no empathy, erasure of witness plus superiority plus deference, they're all coming together. Defensiveness, performance, no trust, system failure. This is not drama. This is information theory. Empathy is a data integrity function. Markets are signal environments. Break signal integrity, you break the market. Ghost economies as proof of collapse. Online marketplaces have become breeding grounds for a new kind of snake oil salesman. When performance is so easy, trusting the appearance of power is not safety. It is a recipe for disaster. We see it everywhere. Ghost housing, ghost securities, and critically, ghost jobs. These are markets that look functional, but exchange no real value. They are listings with no substance and communication with no connection. Digital simulations generating motion without resolution. This is George Akerlof's market for lemons theory in action, where bad signals drive out the good. The consequences are abstract when the product is a widget, but they are devastating when the widget is human survival, and the alternative is homelessness. The scale is staggering. Surveys show 39% of hiring managers admit to posting fake job listings, according to Newsweek. In Why Is It So Hard to Find a Job Now?, researchers estimate up to 21% of job ads are likely ghost jobs. One media report found 62% of recruiters posting ghost listings did so in part to make workers feel replaceable. This came from The Independent. The online labor market is very much a supermarket that profits via hiding the food from its hungry customers who cannot opt out. It's a series of five-star modern restaurants that, above all else, cannot be evaluated by the people who are mandated to eat the food because professionalism? The system deliberately ignores the user experience of the job seeker, which is a dead giveaway to what we're looking at here. If job-seeking users were a product, which they are not, any efficient market would want to understand their user experience to optimize the system. Think of it like a yellow cab, making sure that the cab didn't run around the block 3 times before it got there. If job seekers were stakeholders, which they definitely are, a functional market would prioritize their experience, as meeting a stakeholder needs is the entire purpose of the market itself. Instead, the message to the supply side, the workers, is a punitive, quiet, or else something unfortunate could happen to your career. This is not a market governed by supply and demand at all, which makes it very much not a market. Beyond the overwhelming lemons problem, the embodied refusal to understand the workforce's experience absolutely implies just how profitably inefficient their bad experience must be. After all, chefs who make great food, who are proud of their food, are never defensive about their diners describing the meal. They just aren't. We know this. The counterweight, trust as a market engine. In my unofficial first principle style, I arrive at a pretty classic economic truth that others have also articulated. A market with trust has feedback loops that make data accurate. In the field of economics, this is relatively equivalent to me actually discovering that 1 + 1 = 2. Did you know? But here's the online update. Respect for vulnerability in an online environment is not a moral add-on. It is what gives the system structural integrity. Without it, platforms substitute compliance for connection, creating motion without progress. I really think this is so applicable to almost all transactional markets. Yeah, but especially in the labor market. Think about the difference between the community connection on gaming platforms and the gladiator pit in the labor market right now. The stories we do not tell are the people we do not protect and the people a market does not profit. An online platform whose metric for value is engagement gets engagement from its users and/or its customers. An online platform whose metric for value is trust gets resolution for its users. The fix for the online hiring market is both radically innovative and breathtakingly classic, all at the same time. Treat the job market like all other online markets, as if it is an economic market with all the same rules. A market is a market, is a market, is a market, is a market. It just is. It is. Job seekers need an online labor market with user reviews for the job ads that are coming to the market to spend time purchasing. The issue with the online labor market has never once been the labor, the tech, or the reach. It's the fact that when hiring went online, it lost the ability to take feedback from half of its stakeholders and well over 95% of its users. That's it. That's the problem. I think about it the way physicists use the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. When a system is opaque, you fire particles at it to reveal its structure. The labor market already does this. Millions of candidates interact with the black box hiring industry every day. All we have to do is capture those collisions as signal. Crowdsourced hiring feedback becomes the detector, surfacing how the system actually behaves. This solves multiple failures simultaneously. It corrects information asymmetry. It surfaces scam, ghost, or charm postings. It disincentivizes bad actors or bad actions. It trains emerging HR tech through real-world feedback. Again, it allows job seekers to be making choices between Greenhouse and Workday and more. And whenever new HR tech comes out, it allows them to be training each other in a way that HR doesn't have to train them. Because the info, just like Wikipedia, gives us information. Job seekers can share that information with each other. It helps HRs too. It elevates small businesses the way Yelp elevated small restaurants. This is part of my go-to-market plan. I talked to them. Yelp didn't kill local fine dining. It made it easier to find and more efficient to find. You're not standing out against everybody on Indeed because you're not being able to showcase the individuality of what you are as a place. Online hiring, as creating Yelp of online hiring, does that. It tracks job seeker time as currency in the market, allowing employers to make choices based on cost and efficiency in the talent. In reality, having a collectively distributed labor force regulate the labor market makes perfect sense. Who has more financial incentive to clean the labor market and keep it thriving and functional than the labor force who rely on it for survival and whose unpaid labor drives all of its profits? Genuinely, I phrase this democratically because I don't give a crap about hierarchy, but like, it's a market of labor collectively informationally regulated by the people who rely on it for their economic livelihoods. It's the farmer fields of the global market. They don't have another one. So when this doesn't work, this is not going to go well. This is better. Also, for the record, as a systems theorist, someone who I think ChatGPT just told me I have somatic, like conceptual synesthesia. I don't smell music or anything, but I like feel systems. I'm telling you, the system I'm designing, the system, it sings to me. I feel it in my bones. It's the right way. It's the right. I like a thing. It's not logical, but when I was a physics major in undergrad, and I liked Einstein's theory of relativity for a very terrible reason, because it was beautiful to me. Like the way the math collapses into an elegant and beautiful solution, it resonates hard, you know? It resonates hard. And I like a complex solution that is actually really elegant, because I think elegance is what makes something both flexible and durable long-term, you know? So you should like my idea because it resonates so hard. It sings to me. It just does. As systems theorist, I like it. Anyway, getting to pragmatic things. Honestly, falsifiable data. Don't just go with something because it looks pretty, I like things because they look pretty too. I like falsifiable data. I just also like falsifiable data plus prettiness. If it looks pretty too, it's even better. The job applicant perspective is our intervention at the trust layer, not another job board, but a witness restoration system. It's systemic architecture for the market itself. You don't want to break a market, you want to repair it. The two-sided reviews and responsiveness repairs erasure of witness. Closure verification breaks digitized deference loops, apply, wade, ghost. Narrative feedback dilutes amplified superiority with reciprocal evidence. Example, a job seeker applies to marketing manager remote at TechCore. 3 weeks later, silence. 3 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is. On TJET, they leave a review. Responsiveness, no response after 5 weeks. Process clarity, job description didn't mention 3-round interview process mentioned by other reviewers. Time investment, application took 45 minutes. Result, future applicants see this before applying. TechCore's ghosting rate becomes visible. TechCore either approves or loses access to talent. Again, and this isn't just about busting TechCore, it's about being realistic. Think of how Google Maps allows people to know that there's, a traffic jam. If you're seeing a lot of ghosting, it doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with TechCore. It means they have enough applications and they can't reply to everybody. And this helps TechCore to have people not applying as much. And it helps applicants to save time. Everybody wins, I think of the job market a bit like you're choosing a movie. You don't know if the movie's going to last 2 weeks, 2 months, like 2 hours, 2 weeks, 2 months, never start, or be identity theft. And once you have actual reviews, you do, and you can make better choices for what you have time to apply for. I'm not trying to tell you what it's like to work somewhere. I'm trying to tell you what that hiring process looks like. Better matching and efficiency, more signal, less noise, measurable trust gains. Trust is a collective asset, not a vibe. You can check the research. I will add some below. I will butcher everybody's name, but I'm using people like Agerlof, Granabetter, Goffman, Hochschild, Collins, Gillespie, and more. There's a lot of great economists out there who've written a lot of great things about the future of work, labor market, and platform economics. So my own work, these academically oriented white papers that I will link on OSF, CNITO, and SSRN, touch on much of what is referenced above. They're organized around online hiring plus some original economic system theories of my own, which is what I've been talking about here. I hadn't found anybody who talked about empathy as intellectual infrastructure for online platforms, but got to start somewhere. Included are breakdowns for how I see interlocking trust architecture developing with funding. Yeah, I did that too because I do risk from all angles because I'm aware of the magnitude of the shift that I'm driving at. And so I understand why people would be nervous. It's rational. Of course they would. But in general, I think no one can build a better future without blueprints to imagine what it could look like. And I look at myself like a system architect, an architect. In general, the inversion of strength. We've mistaken control for intelligence and detachment for strength. But empathy, the capacity to hear uncomfortable patterns without collapsing, is not a liability. It is the foundation of signal clarity. To perceive the pain you or others have caused is not weakness, it's data integrity. To stay open in the presence of vulnerability in the age of information is not fragility, it's power. A market based on trust is a market with protected and honor vulnerability. It just is. A global online labor market is a complex dynamic system. A market based on trust is a market with a protected and honored vulnerability. Empathy isn't the opposite of efficiency. It's the infrastructure that makes efficiency possible. Because really, only when we're willing to be changed by what we hear can we exchange anything real at all. So that's me, and that's the work that I've done. You should check it out. I also stop by the Job Applicant Perspective, the first anonymous user reviews for job ads across the U.S. Please like, follow, and share. If you are a grad student, I do not have some of the skills I need to model this properly, and I would love to chat with you about it. If you're in economics, systems theory, or more, I am looking into getting my PhD and that sort of thing, but it takes time, and driving a paradigm shift keeps one busy and stuff. But I don't know, man. I think I'm dropping economic bangers here, left and right. So yeah, it could be great. But I like to quote Hamilton a lot because I relate, person with a rough backstory, who is long-winded, overly transparent, terribly loyal, does not care at all about hierarchies. And I think I'm pretty brilliant at this. Systems theory. I'm pretty brilliant at systems theory. So I will try not to, get into duels. I guess that's the key, But I think it's important. And I hope you'll stop by because I think it could be fun to do something interesting in the labor market, As people say it's revolutionary, but I don't know, man. I think it sounds quite a lot suspiciously like a labor market based on trust for the first time in 2 decades. And historically, those have had some pretty good outcomes. So anyway, like, follow, and share, stop by. Let's do something interesting, It's not like 2025 has been boring, right? Let's find something fun. Have a good one. Thanks. No, don't. Gotta stop it early.